Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another movie review. This time we're going to be talking about Batman the Killing Joke, which was shown as a limited theater release last night. I don't know if they're going to do a second day or not, but fortunately for me, one of the theaters was a part of that was the one I always go to, the one closer in my area. I know it expanded to quite a few theaters across the country, so I really hope a lot of you guys got the chance to see it as well. I got to go there and watch it with my girlfriend, and I just want to say, just to, make sure everyone knows, I've been a lifelong, Batman fan. I grew up with Batman. I love the animated series, the Justice League cartoon, a bunch of the other animated films, like Under the Red Hood and things like that. And of course, just as such a Batman fan, I had to go see this when it was put out in theaters. I know it's coming out on Blu-ray, DVD, and such at the beginning of August. But just to be able to see this in theaters, it's special. It's a really cool thing if you're a huge fan of the source material and the character. And of course, The Killing Joke is one of the more well-known Batman and Joker stories in the comic books. It's a darker story. It's definitely not one you're going to want to take your kids to or anything like that. It did get an R rating, and it's justified. It was probably for the best, so the kids wouldn't see some of the issues that were actually going on in the movie. Overall, I did like it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it's one of the best animated films I've seen for Batman, and just like DC or Marvel animated films in general. I think it's one of the best I've ever watched. And not only was it an adaptation of such a well-known comic book storyline, it was the main draw of it, at least for me, and I think probably a lot of people too, was that of course they had the returning voice work of both Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, who voiced Batman and Joker in the animated series, Justice League, the Arkham video games, and things like that. So it's great to hear them work together again in such an iconic storyline. So I was really happy that they lended their voices for it, and both are as on it as ever with any of their work. So they both did really well in this movie. And then he also had Tara Strong, who we recognize as well, voicing Batgirl. So it was nice to hear her back as well. He also had guys like John Diagamo. He voiced a gangster who is trying to get Batgirl towards the beginning of the movie. And he voiced Bender on Futurama. He also voiced the Joker and Under the Red Hood and such. So I'm glad they still include different voice actors like that who have done previous works with this type of thing. So I think Batman the Killing Joke and Batman Under the Red Hood are probably two of my favorites. I did hear some criticism going into this, especially regarding the way things sort of go for Batgirl in this movie, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I don't have that much time though. I probably have 20 minutes max, but at least I want to get this video recorded before I headed off for work. Do I need to explain the Killing Joke story to you? I'm guessing most of you probably know what it's about and stuff like that, but mainly it's Joker ends up torturing both Jim Gordon and Barbara in different ways. This is where Barbara is paralyzed and she ends up becoming Oracle. Jim is tortured by pictures Joker forces him to see of of course his daughter Barbara, just stripped and etc. I don't really want to go into the details of what that is, but you guys know what I'm talking about. What Joker did to her to prove a point. And of course this drives Batman to, of course, really on the edge of deciding what he wants to do about the Joker. Is it going to come down to him finally having to kill him at some point, or Joker finally killing him? It's going to have to go one way or the other, apparently. So that's mainly the story of it. And I want to say it's a pretty faithful adaptation. They did add a bit more for Batgirl in this than what was in the actual storyline in the comics. Like the first 30-ish minutes of the movie or so, I think, we see this like actual romance between Batman and Batgirl, and we actually get a sex scene. We don't see it a whole lot. We see him kiss, and we see Batgirl like take off her top, and we see her bra and stuff, but it doesn't really go any further than that. But of course, yeah, they ended up having sex, and I think it was a rooftop. People had a lot of issues with this. It was pretty controversial. What's my stance on it? I can see why people would feel a bit weird about it. It still feels a little bit weird to me. I feel a little bit strange about it to an extent, because I do sort of prefer the idea that Batman sees Barbara as more of like a daughter. It's more of like a mentor-student type of thing. More of like a father-daughter type of connection. I think that makes a little bit more sense. But at the same time, I also recognize that's not like a new thing either. We have seen this connection between them before in the comics. In the comics, it gets the consequences are even worse because of Dick Grayson, the original Robin, being with Barbara at the time. Read the comics, look up on that if you want to, how that plays into Dick leaving Bruce's side and stuff like that. They don't really show that part of it in the movie, but that's sort of what goes down in the comics, understandably so. And even in the animated series, there are definite implications that Barbara and Bruce were more connected like that at one point as well. Just even in like Mystery of the Batwoman or something, you see how flirty they get on the phone, or at least how flirty Barbara gets with him on the phone. And then you look at like Batman Beyond or something with an older Barbara, telling Terry a little bit about it, sort of hinting towards it. So it's not anything new. It's not something they just like added on that never existed before, just add like some kind of like sexual or romantic part to it or something. So it's been there. I also don't know if I necessarily like dislike. I don't know if I necessarily like that dynamic in general, though. Like I said, I'd sort of prefer it to be more like a father-daughter thing. But again, I'm not going to bitch too much about it because it has existed before, so, it is what it is. And once you get past that part, it's not like it really, like, bogs down the movie or, like, weighs it down or anything. The rest of the movie is still really good. So I don't think it really affected it that much. I know people are probably going to be bitching about it more than I am, but for me, it didn't really hurt it, really. And the best part of it was still, Batman and the Joker, seeing that dynamic between them. We get a chance to sort of like see their connection like in depth. It's one of the best stories to sort of look at that, their psyche with each other, their connection, how they both sort of need each other and things like that. And then we also had like flashbacks to a possible Joker origin, him being like a failed comedian and such, and getting wrapped up in the criminal world trying to help his wife being killed. And then, him being under the Red Hood, then, being knocked into the chemicals and such. But I still like how they sort of keep Joker's origin sort of ambiguous. Like, Joker even says he remembers it multiple ways all the time, so this might not be exactly it either, so I like how they sort of still keep it unknown to a certain extent anyway. And, we get some really actually well-written scenes. Of course, this is taken from the comics as well, but it still played out really well on film. Like, Batman telling Batgirl about this abyss, this edge that she hasn't been into. How they're not equals because she hasn't really been in that darkness he's in. And yeah, Batgirl is paralyzed. That's completely terrible, of course. And that was the moment where she would see that, and of course what happened to her and what Joker did to her and such. But, Batman lives in that every day. And, he pretty much was almost not born into it, but since he was a child, he was sort of, like, put into that, and he hasn't been able to come out of that darkness since. And that idea was, talked about a little bit, and I really liked that, the moments of that. And then when Batman and Joker have their final confrontation at the end, after Batman, rescues Jim. Jim, of course, he was stripped too, and he was just felt completely helpless. And I seen the pictures of what happened to Barbara, and he was just like in a state of just blank shock, and so that was really dark, but it was portrayed well, I suppose. It was Ray Wise voicing Jim Gordon as well. But in Batman and Joker's final confrontation, Batman actually tries to help him. He did this earlier in the movie where he was going to visit Joker. He thought it was Joker staying in the cell, but turned out to be a guy made to look like him, sort of like a stand-in, so Joker could escape and buy him some time. And that's still kind of a cool shot, even though it wasn't the Joker. You still see like the shadow on his face and stuff like that. I thought that was cool. But Batman wants to help him. He wants to rehabilitate him. He knows there's probably like something that happened to him. One bad day, right? And can turn the sanest man alive into pretty much him, right? And there's a moment where Joker actually, he actually seriously like thinks about it, or like replies to it, saying it's too late for that. And he doesn't just laugh it off either. So I like that moment of serious like connection between them, sort of that parallel in a way. And I just thought that was just really well portrayed in animated adaptation. And then Joker, I'm not going to try and repeat it, I can't remember exactly what it was, but Joker, he makes a joke, and they both start laughing together actually, and that's of course very symbolic and such. And they're both laughing together. Then you hear Joker stop laughing, and you hear Batman continuing to laugh, and that's where the movie ends. That's where the graphic novel ended too, as well. Of course, there's a mixed idea, thoughts on what happened there. Some people think Batman did kill a Joker, and that's why you only hear Batman laughing at the end of it. Which is possible, but it's very ambiguous. And of course, I just think that Joker's still alive. Come on. But either way, it's still like a very well done part of it for sure. Just again, really showing their connection. I like that quite a bit. So that's like really the main story part of it I wanted to get into. I just think, like, even with some of the added in Batgirl stuff, I still thought it was a really good adaptation of the story. I really enjoyed seeing it in theaters. I'm definitely going to be buying it on Blu-ray when it comes out. I think it's out August 2nd. And the animation style as well, it was fine. It wasn't like a great, like, oh my god, this is like a really good animation or anything like that, but it was very reminiscent of like some of the older cartoons, like the animated series and the Justice League cartoon and such. So that was like an animation style they went with, which is good. And I'm glad they didn't do like that weird anime style like some of the DC stuff has been like lately. That was weird. I'm glad they didn't go that route. Though I will say, like, some of the character designs were a little bit more bland compared to certain versions of them on the animated series, but I still liked it. Again, I still liked that as opposed to like the anime thing. So the animation was fine. Like I said, the story is portrayed well, the characters and such. So yeah, overall I really enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about it. I think it's just good to hear Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill together again, portraying this storyline. And you also got a little behind the scenes look before and after it shows in the theaters as well. I'm sure they'll include this on the Blu-ray and such. But it's still cool to kind of get like the behind the scenes look in theaters, so it's different. You'll hear them talking about the history and such and what went into working on it. You get to see Mark Hamill actually, recording his lines and such. So that was a cool little thing as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. As a huge Batman fan, I really, really enjoyed it. One of my favorite animated movies, for DC and Marvel for sure. And so let me know you guys thought about it. If there's anything else about the movie you want to hear my thoughts on, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to talk about it more with you guys. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and theprincewilldid.com. Catch you guys next time. Like, subscribe, and peace. I gotta hurry. And coming up as well, I'll be doing a video on The 100, giving a look at the Season 3 DVD, as well as talking about a certain cast member being made a series regular for Season 4, and also be doing a video on the iZombie Season 2 DVD that was released recently too. Anyway, catch you guys next time. Peace.